Alright guys, so here I have already created the nose of the cat, and I just drew the mouth area just because I wanted to show you how to create fur on IBIS paint. Also, the reference I'm using here, I'm just gonna give a link to that exact same reference. So I already created the nose because again I'm just focusing on fur. So here I'm using airbrush trapezoid. I don't even remember the exact name of that brush, but you get what brush I'm using here. So the first step is to, if you are using reference, to start picking up colors from the reference and start placing them in separate layers like I am doing here, and just start putting them, start filling the whole shape in with those colors. Basically just start creating the shadows and the highlights with this airbrush without worrying about the fur just yet. We are not going to worry about the fur right now. All we are concerned about right now is just to the placement of the colors, the shadows in the highlights. And also you also really do not need to worry about blending those out. So what I'm doing here is I'm just picking up colors and just placing them, just filling it in. Make sure you are, filling it in a way that you are adding deep pigmentation to that area. Do not add these colors light-handedly, because I'll tell you later why we are gonna do that. And so again, just place the colors. Do not worry about blending. Do not worry about the fur. Just place the colors. And also you can either have these in separate layers. What I did here is I initially started adding these colors in separate layers, but then later down in the tutorial I merged them all together. And because we are going to be using these base colors to create fur, all right, so they gotta be in just one layer. But initially when you're placing them colors, just make sure you're doing it separately, so that if you mess it up you don't have to just go back and erase everything and start it all over again, start placing the colors all over again. So yeah, that's what I did here. Very simple step. And once you're done with that, you want to merge all the layers where you placed these colors. So here I'm gonna merge all these down, so I have that whole color thing in just one palette. Now you want to go ahead and pick up smudge brush and just enable first phase out. And the brush I used is hard mapping pen smooth. And the reason why I'm using this brush is because this gives a not fur but hair stroke kind of effect. So also make sure you're enabling force fade out, because we want the strokes to be thinner and crispier in the ends and not thick ones. So what I am doing here is I am actually basically just blending these colors but in a hair stroke shape. And this will just start adding, this will just give this whole painting a fur kind of look. So as you guys can already see, it looks like I'm creating fur, but what I'm actually doing is I'm blending those two colors together in that hair stroke kind of shape, if that makes any sense. So the size of the brush and the opacity totally depends on you. I do not essentially like to increase opacity up to the max because it was just too much. So make sure you're decreasing the opacity according to your liking. Again, it depends on you, depends on the kind of painting you're creating. So yeah, just play around with the brush size and play around with the opacity of the brush. But yeah, all we're doing is we're just blending these colors, and hence the reason why I told you guys to keep all the colors, or all the colors that initially we were placing onto that shape, to keep it in one layer so that we can blend those together. If you have them in separate layers, it might get a little trickier or difficult, or the process might become a little complex, because then you have to kind of switch back and forth from layer to layer just to blend those out. So yeah, another tip here is to always first kind of blend the dark colors first, like go from darker and then lighter. And also another tip that I like to follow is to blend so what we are doing when we're blending, we're just moving pixels. So first blend the dark ones, then come back to the light colors. Now why come back to the light colors? Because those lighter fur hair or the light colored hair should fall onto the dark ones. It will give an effect as if some sort of light is hitting that animal. I don't know how else to explain it, but first blend the dark ones and then make sure that some of the light colored fur is kind of falling over the dark ones. As I'm doing right here, I am moving the pixels of that white colored patch over the dark colored patches that I initially added. I hope this is making sense, and it is already looking good. Now in the reference that I'm using, there is no fur as such, and it doesn't really matter because I just wanted to use this technique and see how it goes without having without needing a reference essentially exactly for the fur I was looking for. But yeah, I'm still gonna give you guys a reference for this cute little cat painting that I have in here. But yeah, it's really easy. And also, if you are not satisfied with this technique, let's just say you started blending those colors out and you have a full furred animal, but you still want to add some fur over what you have already created, then you can always go back to the brushes, like the normal brushes, and pick up the brush that I picked up for smudge brush, and use that brush to add more hair strokes or fur hair over the animal. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna fast forward this process a little bit, and yeah, I'll see you again. Now, as I said before, once you're happy with what you have created just with the smudge brush, create a new layer, go back to the brushes, pick up hard mapping pen, smooth, again enable force fade out, and here just pick up the colors and start adding more hair strokes or fur hair. Even though this looks quite nice already, but I like to do that. I like to go back and pick up the brush and add more fur hair around the area I already created. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here, basically making sure that some of the hair are kind of fallen over those black lines or the lines for the mouth or the nose, so that it looks realistic and kind of natural, and as if the cat is actually really furry, really that furry that the fur hair are kind of fallen over its nose and the mouth and everything else. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm also making sure that I'm adding more thinner hair strands as well, because just to balance it all out. And yeah, that's what I'm doing right here. Once you're happy with the result, create a new layer above everything else. And again, I'm using the same brush, and I'm again forgetting the name of the brush. I already have told you guys in this tutorial earlier, but yeah, I'm using the same brush, and I'm just gonna start adding the mustache for the cat. I hope that's what you call that. So I'm just gonna do that really lightly. As you guys can see, the size of the brush is really small, and obviously opacity is pretty high, so that obviously they look crispier but thinner, crispier but yeah, pigmented at the same time. So yeah, that's how you actually draw and paint animal fur on IBIS paint. It is really simple. I really hope you guys enjoy this. Give this a try and tag me on Instagram. I would love to see that. Other than that, subscribe to my channel, give this video a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video.